Hello, and welcome to Bowling Green's State of the City for 2021. I'm Bowling Green Mayor Mike Aspacher. Although I took this office on January 1st, 2020, this is my first State of the City address. The 2020 address had been scheduled for late March of 2020, and like so many things last year, the event was postponed and eventually canceled as the cascading impacts of the pandemic became part of our shared experience. While I had envisioned that my first State of the City address as mayor would be shared with an audience, our vigilance to accepted safety protocols must continue. I felt it important, though, as we begin to look forward to better days ahead, that we resume the tradition of sharing an updated view of the state of the city, even if the means of delivery is not traditional. I look forward to future addresses that can be shared live and appreciate those tuning in to hear this community update. Thinking back to last March, it seems like a very long time ago. All of us have endured so much since the pandemic hit, and each of us has been challenged in unprecedented ways. As a generally optimistic person, I tend to reflect on the bright spots that emerge in dark times, to reflect on lessons learned that can guide us to future improvement, and to focus my energy on those things that best position our citizens and community for future success. Yet I pause before talking about some of these silver linings and our aspirations for the future, because it's important to first acknowledge the tremendous toll the pandemic has taken on so many members of the Bowling Green community. We had community members who continued to provide health care, education, and other essential services, even as we were confronted with the need to significantly modify our daily lives, and we are thankful for these efforts. We know there are community members who have struggled with employment and financial challenges, and of course, our thoughts are extended to those who have been ill, cared for someone ill, or tragically lost family members. Additionally, we know there have been struggles in our business community. We know that this pandemic has touched the lives of everyone. There have been many opportunities lost, sacrifices made, hardships encountered. As we begin to see light at the end of the tunnel, even with the recovery time frame unknown at this time, I urge all of us to continue to balance the current guidance from public health officials while also allowing ourselves to imagine a bright future. When I think of spring of 2020, the phrase, "if I had only known then what I know now," comes to mind. Amongst the numerous challenges associated with the need to change or modify almost every aspect of our lives, one of the clearest memories of those early days of the pandemic and shutdowns was the fear of the unknown. Like many of our community members, city officials became concerned with issues related to the financial impacts of the pandemic. The city's finances are diverse, and like many families and businesses, the uncertainty of the pandemic caused great concern. With so many unknowns, including the unknown impacts on the economy, the need to continue to provide essential service to our residents, and the length of the pandemic, we took immediate but measured financial actions. We sought spending reductions with minimal impact to public health and safety, implemented strategic changes to allow for additional time to accurately assess the financial landscape, and aggressively advocated with both state and federal representatives for direct financial assistance. As we now look back on 2020, I'm happy to report that our strategy was successful. I was pleased that the 2021 budget maintained current staffing levels at the city, resulted in no long-term changes to the scope of city services, and maintained fees at current levels. Paramount to that work was the knowledge that our community places a high value on safety services, along with the numerous other services provided by the city, and the need to continue to provide the high-quality delivery that our citizens expect. I think it is important for a community to be aspirational. However, while we think broadly and openly about the future of our city, we must balance both our aspirations for tomorrow with the priorities of today and identify achievable goals in both the short and the long term. Over the last several years, Bowling Green community has been taking a close look at itself, trying to understand where we are and where we want to go. The primary method for this work was a series of studies looking at various components of our community. These included examinations and updates relating to land use, the city charter, the East Worcester Street corridor, neighborhood conditions, and city facilities, including the city building, Court Street Fire Station, and the police station. Out of this work, numerous actions have already been taken and more are in the process. I hope that we will continue the process of implementing aspects of this shared community vision. One thing that was made clear during this time of community self-reflection was that there are many misalignments and deficiencies in the city's zoning code. When you consider that the last comprehensive update of the city's zoning code was almost 50 years ago, this discovery is not terribly surprising. That's not to say that the code hasn't been updated and amended. Certainly it has been many, many times. However, because various sections were changed in various time periods, the current zoning code has become disconnected. It became increasingly clear that our zoning code needs to be refreshed to reflect a modern community. Certainly, there are areas of the code that are working well, and part of the goal in updating the code is to identify what is working well, what can be modified, and how to make those modifications, and what needs to be added to the code. Updating the entire code is a daunting task, and I am pleased to report that significant progress has been made and that work will continue through the end of 2021. The goal is to present a revised code that is written cohesively and in a form that is easily understood, while also providing illustrations and examples for additional clarity. We must also create a code that reflects current trends in the community, in community planning, and one that will allow for easier modifications as community needs change. In the months ahead, the updates will be considered by both the Planning Commission and City Council. As a document that will help to shape the future of our neighborhoods and community, zoning is important, and I am looking forward to this next chapter for Bowling Green. For several decades, the city has been looking for a solution for the aging city building on Church Street that previously served the community as both a school and the public library. I'm pleased that we now have a solid plan to move forward. After a building and site analysis, it has been decided that the city will be staying near its current location, but moving closer to Main Street. The former post office, and soon-to-be former location of the Wood County Committee on Aging at 305 North Main Street, has been identified and approved as the next home for Bowling Green City Building. The facade of this historic structure will be preserved and improved, and the back of the building replaced with a modern structure that will better serve Bowling Green citizens. Additionally, it will house municipal employees in a configuration that will maximize efficiency and effectiveness in performing the work of municipal government. There are numerous opportunities for our community associated with the new city building. Citizens will find vastly improved access to in-person city services. The current 3-story building, built in the early 1900s as a school, is a maze of offices carved out of former classrooms. Currently, the offices with the highest volume of citizen traffic are located in the basement. In the new building, these offices will be located on the first floor. The new City Council chamber will have adequate room for public involvement and observation during any city event. An additional benefit to the new city building is that designing a modern workspace provides opportunities for improved organizational efficiency. Accordingly, we have asked employees to reimagine their operations in an effort to take full advantage of a new building configuration. Like our zoning code that hasn't undergone a comprehensive overhaul in 50 years, our organizational structure has also not been comprehensively evaluated since the 1970s when the city charter was adopted. Like zoning, changes have been made along the way, but there comes a time when those changes start to lack cohesion. While it can be a challenging work, it is also timely to take a full step back to take a look at the entire organization, and we have already started this comprehensive evaluation process. In my work with the city, both as a member of City Council and now as mayor, I've long recognized the importance of continuing investment in our infrastructure. This can be a sometimes forgotten part of local governments, as citizens don't necessarily get excited about water and sewer lines, improvements at the water treatment or the wastewater treatment plant, road engineering, or the many other moving parts that together create a safe and functioning infrastructure system designed to serve our citizens. Continual investment in these systems, from electric to water to sewer to roads, is one of our most basic responsibilities and one that I prioritize and take very seriously. Among our many infrastructure needs, road improvement projects are the ones most likely noticed by citizens. Orange barrels that give us all a headache are a sign of progress, in my view, as it shows that we are investing in improvements. These projects can be transformative for neighborhoods, impacting both transportation and utility infrastructure. The project completed on South Maple Street last year repaired and replaced aged underground utilities with new that will serve area residents for decades. And the new road and sidewalks will improve area transportation for many years to come. Continued evaluation of our infrastructure is a high priority for me, and we have several projects already identified for 2021 and beyond. We will continue to examine both our needs and our financial capacity in order to prioritize, plan, and execute future projects. Future paving projects already in planning include East Worcester from Campbell Hill to the railroad tracks, South Church from Pearl to Sand Ridge, a portion of the residential streets within the Coventry subdivision, West Worcester from Church to Haskins Road, and Haskins Road to the corporation limits. In addition to paving projects, there are numerous utility projects being planned, including underground and electrical work within the village subdivision, replacing the sewer on Kenwood Avenue, and improving the underground utilities along West Worcester in preparation for the paving to occur in 2022. These are not the only paving and infrastructure projects planned for these next few years, but I wanted to highlight some of the improvements on the horizon and emphasize that the planning period required to execute these type of projects is measured in years, thus illustrating the importance of developing a comprehensive, long-term strategy for these important community investments. We continue to incorporate many of the community improvement opportunities that were identified in the community planning process that I mentioned earlier. Most notably, the implementation of complete street design concepts. These improvements reflect the desire of many, myself included, to make Bowling Green more walkable and bikeable. There is definitely no shortage of great ideas or attractive design concepts related to this goal and vision for our community. Our responsibility is to balance what can be most impactful for our community while also managing our limited resources. As I mentioned earlier, my optimistic nature leads me to see bright spots in times of darkness. And one way I saw this play out in 2020 was in the extremely high usage of our BG parks. Record attendance was logged at all of our parks as people escaped the challenges of shutdowns and other pandemic-related restrictions. Our parks are a tremendous community asset, and those of us who enjoy them today can thank BG voters who for many years provided the financial resources needed to make our park system what it is today. Similar to my view of the need for continual investment in infrastructure, I also believe that it is necessary that we continually invest in our park system. Every 5 years, it is necessary to ask Bowling Green voters for approval of a levy dedicated for parks and recreation operations. And 2021 is one such year where the voters will be asked to consider a levy. I see high value in the quality of life enhancement our parks provide, and am and will continue to be a strong advocate and supporter of this important element of our community. Last summer, our community, along with the rest of the nation, became engaged in an important and ongoing dialogue about race. We are fortunate to have several organizations in our community that serve as both advocates and outlets for education and community discussion. Some components of these discussions involve policing. In Bowling Green, our police division has achieved an important international accreditation and takes its responsibility of policing for the community very seriously. Additionally, the division is committed to professionalism and transparency in policing. As a result of this ongoing work and the focus of dialogue in the community, several changes are underway at the police division. Amongst the most noticeable will be the addition of body-worn cameras on all Bowling Green police officers. I am pleased to report that this new policy will be implemented in the first half of this year. Also, in an effort to diversify our police force, the division has changed its hiring process by joining the National Testing Network in an effort to widen our pool of applicants. Like the rest of our organization, it is important and necessary that our police division be dedicated to continual improvement and progress. The issue of sustainability has received much attention and focus in recent years, and I add my voice in support of efforts to increase sustainable practices in both local government and the community. Last year, the Sustainability Advisory Committee, comprised of BG citizens, was appointed. They were asked to inventory our current practices, recognize areas of concern, and identify potential ways forward. I look forward to receiving the report from the committee and to working with City Council in identifying reasonable and practicable action steps that will build on the city's reputation as a regional leader in adopting sustainable initiatives. As I near the end of my remarks, I want to share with you some of my aspirations for our community. I doubt that many listeners will be surprised to hear that, as mayor, economic development is a priority for me. A measured approach to growth provides economic diversity as well as community prosperity. Fortunately for us, Bowling Green is well positioned to make positive advancements in a variety of ways in the years to come. This is due largely to the efforts of many who came before us. These past successes positioned us here and are the foundation for a renewed focus on a more modern and proactive economic development approach. This city has witnessed the past success in the recruitment of a diverse manufacturing base, and we are grateful for this important sector of our business community. When combined with the strength and success of BGSU and our many locally owned small businesses, Bowling Green has a broad economic base which serves us well. While I recognize, appreciate, and applaud these past successes, we cannot rely exclusively on these same ways of doing business. In structuring our approach, it will be important to recognize the skills of our community workforce, leverage our positioning on the I-75 corridor, utilize previous studies as a guide to community aspirations, and identify economic opportunities that are affiliated with serving as the county seat and the home of a large state university. In my view, this makes it clear that we must now adopt a refreshed approach to economic development, one focused on attracting more diverse business segments that will begin to fill the need for community amenities that directly support a vibrant and active community. We must look at all facets of the local economy in defining our approach and aggressively and intelligently pursue this new path. Bowling Green is unique, and we need to tell our story and invite others to invest in and share in our success. As we begin a new year, I'm hopeful for healthier days ahead for our community. We have an active agenda planned for the community, and it is my hope that we emerge from this difficult pandemic energized to embrace the numerous opportunities that lie ahead for us. I'm very proud to call Bowling Green my home. As someone who was born, raised, and educated here, serving as mayor of my hometown is a humbling experience. It provides me with the valuable perspective of observing the progress and change in this community over the years, while also being able to see proof that when we work together, we have the power to grow, change, and improve our community. I look forward to working together with all of you and hope that you'll share in my optimism that our community has much to look forward to in the days and years ahead. Thank you for listening. 2020 State of the City. I wish you all the very best.